With Omari Hardwick, and you are just coming off making an amazing indie film in the middle of nowhere.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
Thank you for that. It is a special film directed by Ava DuVernay. It's my sophomore effort with her, and it's been really a crazy ride from the moment that she asked me to do it to casting all the other actors to within, 6 months being in Sundance in the snowy streets of Utah and her winning best director for the first time, black, and also a woman. So you got to put in parentheses, black female director to win, first time ever.
Awesome.
Pretty amazing.
Now, what attracted you to this film? And talk to us a little bit about the role that you're playing.
Okay, I'll start with about the breakdown of the guy. I played the character Derek. And Derek Murray, and he is married, newlywed, till death do part, very happy, loves his wife. He's so into her, and the wife is played by Emma Yahtzee Cornaldi, plays Ruby.
Which I just spoke to yesterday. She was
amazing.
Pleasure.
Incredibly talented. I've known her for about 10 years, so it's really great to finally work with her. And I prophesied for a long time her trajectory, her takeoff as an actress, and she's proven me correct. I told her years ago where she'd be, and it's happening. So she plays Ruby, I play Derek. We're married, and unbeknownst to her character, I did some things that were a little shady, a little criminal prior to us getting married, and then she ends up finding out when I find out that, you know, I can't hide it any longer, and the ATF bust in, you know, the whole thing in our beautiful home that I've done whatever I need to criminally do to make sure that we live in. And so now I'm incarcerated, and she's got this big daunting task or decision to make, and that is whether to stay with me or whether to move on with her life. And that's middle of nowhere.
Now, most of your roles, because you also just wrapped up on Sparkle, where you played Levi.
Levi, yeah.
Most of your roles, I find, are very layered, and they're very serious. Is that on purpose? And you do it so well.
The layers, you know, it was funny, like I remember going out for Gridiron Gang, Leslie, and the casting director said, Sarah Finn, who's been awesome, she put me in Kick-Ass and Gridiron Gang, Guardian, put me in 3 movies. And she said to me, I remember the first time I auditioned, she said, he's great, but he's too nice looking to play this guy. And it became sort of, I bring that story up only to say that it became the start of reminding or letting people know the layers that were there. Because there was more than meets the eye than what she physically saw. That she didn't think matched this thugged out character of Free that I played, you know, with Dwayne and Dwayne Johnson and Exhibit and all of the other kids that played in that movie. And so Hollywood started to catch a hold of the rumor that I actually had layers, and you couldn't judge me off of one thing. And I'm a poet meets an ex-athlete meets a, you know, urban kid who grew up in a very, it's all black neighborhood in Decatur, Georgia, ATL, and then went to a white private school every day and came home to the same black neighborhood. And so there's so much, you know, that's in Omari that's layered. And so. And it comes out in your acting. Yeah. It's a good thing. How did you specifically prepare? I'm ready to play the funny stuff, though. That was my next question. Is there a role that you're really dying to play? Everybody's like, oh, guy, he's silly. Yeah, like a humorous role. Would you like to do that? Okay. Wait. With who? Maybe Eddie Murphy or? Yeah, I would love to work with Eddie, but you know, I'm a big fan of Adam Sandler. I like the way, you know, I think that he's funny without trying to, you know, he just got it, man. And I think Robin Williams is crazy talented. Oh, he's obviously Eddie, and you know, and Bill Cosby. I missed that boat if he's not really working in that capacity anymore. But a lot of the young people. I like the new show. Is it The New Girl with Zooey Deschanel? I love The New Girl. She's good in that. She is hilarious. She's a funny chick. She is. And you know, and I'm not really. She controls those guys. Controls them to the T, and it sounds like you and I got the same taste of humor. So, you know, nobody ever thought Bobby De Niro was a funny guy. They think he's a serious guy, and then all of a sudden you put Bobby De Niro in The Fockers, right? And he's hilarious. Hilarious. So if you put, you know, the serious thespian, which sometimes we're coined too much at being in the right light, then you can see the humor start to drip out. The little 8-year-old boy in Omari. No but doubt. Levi had a lot of 8-year-old boy in him. He did. He had paper rings and stuff. He did. He did. But an imagination. No doubt. How did you prepare for this role specifically? Seeing as that you've never been, you know, to prison, how were you able to adapt
to a man,
to
a
that
black
guy.
man being
Yeah.
in prison?
Well, I definitely had, I have been in jail before, but in jail in the sense that, I was there for doing something wrong and was out about 48 hours later,
Okay.
So I've had that experience, and, I grew up in that, not very far from the world of those that were in that light, of having to deal with the bid. The bid is not 48 hours. I did 48 hours. The bid is Derek doing 4, 9, 10, 15 years. So I definitely have friends that, upon graduation from high school, Leslie went to jail and did not come out until I was 25 years old.
Wow.
Straight up. 18, I'm 25. They finally are released from prison. So for me, I think as an actor, you work inside out. Typically, there's times that, let's say you play a jazz artist and it's about his outfit or about his saxophone. You might work from the outside in. But for the most part, you got to figure out what's going on in here. Absolutely. And let it go that way. And so I was methodical, and I haven't necessarily been method in my work. I typically can go in and out while we're shooting for the 30-day span or what have you. But in this one, I really was locked away. Okay. In between takes. I didn't want to talk to Ava. I didn't want to talk to Emmy. I mean, he's incarcerated. Right. And we really shot it in jail. I needed to physically be in jail.
Okay, you needed to feel that.
I needed to feel it. And Ava she would oftentimes send direction via somebody else telling me, it was time, or what Ava's wanting you to do on this take is maybe this. She might give me a look because it's our sophomore effort together. We kind of have an unspoken communication at this point, but I needed to really be incarcerated and yearn the touching of Emmy's character. And so when you see me finally make it to her, it's because in between takes a lot of time, when I make it and I'm filled with this joy of like, oh wow, she's here and I could touch her, it's because I was in between takes staying as far away from her as I could.
Wow, and no doubt you all had great chemistry on set, would you say?
Yeah, we did have a good chemistry. Okay. Absolutely.
And speaking of being locked up, you were also locked up, I would say, emotionally in your role in For Colored Girls.
Oh, yeah.
You couldn't really tell your wife what was going on with you.
I was talking to my...
that was intense.
That was intense. I had a fraternity brother of mine who's sponsoring and sponsoring my trip here and hanging out with me, sponsoring in the sense that he's taking me around. And he and I were talking earlier about the figurative imprisonment, or someone not displaying a level of pain, but in reality, and I brought up the fact that if you are living that life that my character was living in For Colored Girls, that is pain. And we were just referencing somebody who's battling with that and knowing that they are one way but lying to the significant other that they're another way. And that is not only a something that comes with a heavy cloud of pain over them, but also, as you perfectly said, it therefore, thusly, henceforth, incarcerates this person. Absolutely. Emotionally, spiritually, because they can't figure out exactly who to be, and you can't figure out anything else if you don't figure out first and foremost who you are. And so, For Colored Girls was a definite incarceration of the emotion. And I think that Emma Yahtzee's character in this, and I think that that's what women are attracted to when they watch the movie, especially brown and black women. It's that those of us that have known a man that they've loved personally, or a brother that's been incarcerated, or what have you, a father, the problem is that equally the person who loves on the outside, who's free, is not necessarily free. She had just as much incarceration that she was going through that I had. And she needed to break out and didn't know how to break out. She almost became you. She almost became incarcerated. I think she was almost right there at it.
Absolutely. So what would you say that the overall message is to black men and black women, particularly black women who may have to support their mates while they're in prison? Is this movie a good message? Because the love that you and Ruby played online was really directed. She was not ignorant to anything. You all really loved each other. Absolutely. You were husband and wife.
Absolutely. I think that's a
little different.
It's a really interesting question, because while you were asking, I was thinking, but at the end of the day, Leslie, it's still a film that can speak to all races of women. Okay. And so, obviously, I mean, there's white women who have men in jail. Absolutely. And there's, Indian women who have men in jail, and Asian, and not just brown and black, but a multitude. There's some wealthy Jewish woman in upstate New York whose man has done a white collar crime, perhaps, to not necessarily be stereotypical, but let's say he's done a white collar crime, then she's dealing with the same thing. So we're ignorant if we leave out that it's an epidemic but it is definitely more cancerous to the black and brown woman.
Absolutely.
And it's more of an epidemic with our community. And so I think as a black man, and Emmy as a black woman playing it, I think what matters most is that the backdrop was how much they loved each other. Not incarceration.
Right.
That's cliche almost.
Right.
You can find one on every corner. In every hood you can find a Pookie.
A Ray and a Dookie.
You can every corner you can find a liquor store. You can find a church 20 feet away from the liquor store. But you can also find some woman on the corner in the community, in the urban area, in Latin communities as well, as we know, whose man is serving time and doing that bid. So that's not necessarily what it's about. It's about the fact that is married, pun intended, to this beautiful love story of them really loving each other in a way that perhaps white studios don't believe we love each other.
Right.
That's what's really magical about it. It's
and
like,
those are some of the positives, I think.
Those are definitely the positives
that came out. What were some of the challenges, maybe of the film that you had personally to overcome? Was it time? Because I know you all shot this film in 19 days.
And I shot 6.
Wow. That's very aggressive.
Shot 6 came off of an indie right before that called Things Never Said with Charles Murray, Shanola Hampton, the sister from Shameless with William H. Macy on Showtime.
Okay.
And so we shot that. Michael Beach was in that as well. And we shot that, and I had maybe 16 hours before getting onto the set for Ava upon finishing Things Never Said. So my hair was completely high and, different, playing a poet. 16 hours I had to be right for Ava in this mode. I moved into a hotel room off of Wilshire in the Rampart district of LA and just closed myself off to the world in that transition of that movie. So the first 4 days of production with Ava, 4 out of 6, I only shot 6, I was in the hotel room just kind of TV off, no phone, left the cell phone at my house, and just, I needed that. And so that was a challenge for me. She wanted me to gain weight. Because she wanted me to look like I had done time and was
for this film, so you had to go through. Your body had to go
within
through
6 days.
Wow! What did you eat? McDonald's,
peanut butter,
fish sandwiches?
A lot of French fries, a lot of the weight room. And I said, "So where are we going, April? Are we going thicker first, and then you want me to lose?" And she said, "Yeah, because if you can gain, then we can sort of hide you with bigger clothes and make you look like you're smaller." So it's about when we shot, what scene we shot. What succession we shot it in. But that was a major challenge for me. And I enjoy, people ask me if it was a challenge being that I couldn't go much further than just you and I right here.
Right.
You physically are where Emmy was.
Scene. Right.
And I don't find that to be a challenge because I just think less is more. And I think words are overused in movies. And I love the fact that it allowed us this quiet pause and space. And the sound of the jail cell became verbiage, if that makes sense.
Wow, it makes a lot of sense.
And I just thought that was great that we could be this intimate. In my opinion, many people would look at the story and they would think that the lovers can only be really displayed in the way like Ava wrote Emmy and David to be when they're outside. They're starting this love affair outside in the world. But I realized that when I look back, and hindsight is 20/20, I didn't realize it while shooting it. But we did get past one challenge, and that is we were able, I think, to show that some of the heaviest love between each other was when they were in jail. And most human people go to the thought of, well, no, if you're looking at a relationship, a common relationship is, they show their love when they're outside.
Right.
But I think we were able to show the love inside. Not being able to touch, which sucks. Now you can only touch with this, and so that was a major, and with this. So that was a major challenge, is just getting that out. But I found that the physicality of being this close, but not being able to really touch her, it aided me, for me at least.
Wow. What are you hoping that people take away from this movie? Take back maybe to their communities, their relationships, their marriages?
Bravery, one. I think from the male perspective, I got to speak to the brothers first. I think part of, on top of the roles, maybe layered is actually for people to say, oh, Omari's done a lot of layer roles. I think what I've mostly done is not been afraid to show the vulnerability of men.
Okay.
And I do it in a way of I do it in a body and a spirit of a kid raised by a father and 2 grandfathers. And so I think I walk in a room and people are like, he's very manly, but but it's okay to kiss a man on the cheek and tell brothers that you love them, and so not necessarily doing that as Derek in this film, but showing enough vulnerability to be about to cry because he's losing his wife and trying to man up at the end and poke his chest out and not cry. And there's a vulnerability that I think a lot of black men in particular and Latin men are deciding not to necessarily put in their repertoire, and they think it's cool, and I think it's cooler to be everything. Yeah. Be a man, but be vulnerable. You got to be all of that. Vulnerable. And so for the brothers, I want them to take that, and from the women, for the women, that you got to love yourself a little bit more than you love somebody else.
I love it.
You got to.
How do we do that? I mean, from a male perspective, how do women love themselves more than they love a man? Because we're so nurturing by, it's in us. It's innate. We almost can't help it.
It's, I think it comes down to choice. I don't want to make it too fluffy. I don't like to beat around, too many ideologies that make people go, well, that's far reaching. I can't ever accomplish that. But you can accomplish making a decisive choice. You can. And you can decide what restaurant to go eat to, then you can decide whether to love yourself more. Because you're right. It is cutting off of a nature. We, as men, tackle. We go out in life, we tackle, we hunt, we bring home food, and we bring home accomplishment. We bring home trophy and go, babe, look. Okay. And y'all bring home trophy and the man is the trophy. And you go, mama and girlfriends, look at this guy I got. And we don't do that. Y'all fit in next to us, but you fit nicely next to the trophies that we've garnered in life. Okay. We by nature go out and we hunt for accomplishment and for goal and for dream, and y'all hunt for men. So it's cutting off a nature that's not innate to you. But I think, it's got to be, it starts with society allowing y'all the permission to not necessarily have to have a man. Too much society driven thoughts are, you ain't got no man yet? Girl, what's wrong with you?
At 39.
They don't ask a dude that. They don't ask a dude that.
They don't. Why is that?
They don't ask. And so society has to kind of pull that cord that you guys are connected to of feeling this pressure to do. And you say 39, but I say it starts as early as 3 years old. Think about it. You immediately are given a Barbie doll.
We are.
And then you're watching cartoons that are of damsel in distress, and she's got to be saved. It's horrible. Yep. It is. It's horrible. Wow. It's beautiful, but it's not great. It fosters a bad epidemic in our women. It's bad. So I think, it's as bad as the slave mentality that black people still carry. The mentality that women carry of being slave to a man is equally as bad. Wow. We got our part. Men have done our part of really mucking up some things and not doing what we needed to do for you guys. And so I have definitely been that guy that hasn't always been angelic to a woman at all, because what man has been always great? Right. We're striving to be a B, hoping to be an A, but just striving to be a B. And you guys got to strive to really love yourselves to the point and trust in us. The good men in life, trust in us when we say, if you can accomplish that, you will have your pick of the litter. Wow. Instead of going out to pick the litter. You will have your pick,
And speaking of having your pick, I think all the women want to know what type of lady attracts you. I was going to ask you this question.
Wayne, I'm shouting out to the cameraman.
What kind of
lady
never
get enough shout outs.
Gets Omari's attention?
Well, I just named her. In part, Leslie, I said, she's got to be really, really strong and assertive and independent and got to have your own life, I definitely believe in those vows one day at the altar, but I believe in them in a way of when they say, you are now one, but I still think you're individuals. Okay. You become one, but you still got to have your own life. You do. And he's got to have his own life, and like I said, his instinct is to have his own life because he's a man, but a woman, who's very independent. She gotta be funny. Gotta have a sense of humor. Gotta laugh. Life's too serious. And trust in God, believe in a higher power. And I think at the end of the day, we really judge somebody off how they treat other people. Yes. So I think it's early in the process of dating that you get to watch how somebody deals with the 5 homeless people that might ask them for some money. Okay. You don't expect a woman to say yes to every homeless hand that asks for a handout, but you want to see if she has a giving heart.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
How proud are you of this overall work for Middle of Nowhere?
Really, really proud.
You should be. Yeah.
Really proud.
And I know you said you had some new projects in the works that are going to start right here in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Home of the Tigers. We're on our way to the World Series.
You are.
Yes.
And last year I was here, and you guys were in efforts to do that.
Yes.
This year you're there.
You made it. Yes.
You know, so you shot for the moon, and you made even higher than that. So I'm proud of Detroit, and shout outs to Mdaku Su, who brought me and my cast members to 2 Lions games last year.
Yes, I remember.
You know, Matthew Stafford played at University of Georgia. Leslie, I played football at University of Georgia.
I remember.
I'm always rooting for the Lions, and still root for my Falcons. And I tried out for San Diego Chargers, of course. And so I give a peek to San Diego. But I'm proud of the Lions and Detroit and the Tigers. And I just, you know, I want the city to get back to where it was.
Yes.
You know, Clint Eastwood did that incredible commercial, but then he turned around and spoke to an empty chair like our president wasn't doing anything, and that really, really bothered me. But his commercial about Detroit and about Detroit being the backbone of the U.S. Mattered.
Automotive. That
mattered, and I thought that commercial was priceless. And I look at Detroit in a very similar fashion. So I'll always be back here.
Absolutely.
If you want to hang out with me, just holler at your boy.
I will do that. We are so glad to have, again, Omari Hardwick. He's starring in the #1 indie film for 2012, In the Middle of Nowhere.
That's it.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. If you could look in that camera and tell them the awesome interview you had with Leslie J. Griffin.
Yes.
Now, it doesn't get any better.
I am in the incredible Southfield AMC Theater in Southfield, Michigan. On West 12 Mile, am I correct?
West 12 Mile and Telegraph Road. You're
Telegraph Road, and it's 2012. Like the incredible Leslie J. Griffin said, J stands for jamming today. We jammed out in the front of the Red Wall, and we got the camera efforts of the incredible Wayne. He rocked us out, and I had a ball. It gets no better. She did not pay me to say that. This is Omari Hardwick. I had a fun time in Detroit, and I will continuously shout Detroit out and always shout me out and support me, and I'll do the same for you guys. Peace.
Thank you so much. And we want everyone to come out and support The Middle of Nowhere. You have to see this movie. You have to feel this movie because it is definitely going to change your life.
Thank you.
Thank you.